This is Stephen Powell with Real Talk with Stephen Powell and Troubled Soul, and welcome to a new mini segment, Just a Thought.
No matter what you say, what you do, when I'm alone, I'd rather be with you.
So, for those who have been kind of paying attention to, the last couple of episodes, you notice that we've been kind of touching base a lot on relationship, and of course, there's a reason. Unfortunately, the mother and my son and I have separated, which is why soon, Trouble Soul and I will be both located in Las Vegas. Um, Now, I wanted to touch base on a few things when it comes down to, that particular topic. Um, when women threaten men with their children, I mean, to me personally, that is one of the lowest things that a woman can do, period. Because by doing so, you're not realizing that it's not mainly the guy you're hurting. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, you're hurting the guy, but you're also hurting your child. So to sit here and leverage your child to get what you want out of them, to get them to do what you want them to do, I mean, that's just completely pathetic. You know, the sad part is, there's one thing that I notice about a lot of women, and I'm not going to say all, but I've noticed this about a lot of women. However, when women decide to do something, and it's, you know, some of the shit is like some of the most petty shit you can fucking do. But I notice that when women do something, and the guy decides to do the same thing that they did, they view the guy as like one of the most fucked up people in the world. But in all actuality, all it is, the guy decided to turn the tables on you and do exactly what you put out. Now, me personally, I'm a firm believer in do unto others. Now, mind you, I'm not a religious person. I'm, don't get it wrong. I mean, I believe, but I don't believe in religion. And, I've always been the type of person where, I'll be chill, I'll be mellow, you know what I mean? But it's like, if you're coming at me a certain way, don't expect me to be chill and mellow. Don't expect me to just sit back, bite my tongue, and take it the whole time. Now, there's been several times where I try to be calm, cool. I try, and the sad part is, I really do got a temper. You know what I mean? So there's days where, I have a short fuse. And the moment I get snapped at, I'm yelling. You know what I mean? And it's mainly because, it's like a boiling point, you know, up to that point, because it's like, there's only so much that a person can take. It doesn't matter, man or woman. You know what I mean? If you're one of those like just real laid back, chill type motherfuckers and shit, 9 times out of 10, you're not laid back and chill because you're passive aggressive. You're laid back and chill because that's just who you are, and that's the way you prefer to live your life. And you know, when you're constantly under pressure, when you're constantly, feeling belittled, or if you're constantly feeling like, somebody is, you know, trying you in a way that they really shouldn't. I mean, it's one thing if I came, aggressive 100% all the time, but it's like when you see somebody's being chill, let them be chill, because you're not going to like them when they're out of their element. You know what I mean? Then on top of that, back to the whole child situation, you know, one of the biggest trusts that a man can put in a woman is with their child. I mean, a woman can sit here and say, yeah, I carried the kid for 9 months, this, that, and the third, and kind of have a superiority complex in that particular situation, basically, you know, feeling as if their say has more validation than the man, which to me is complete bullshit. I mean, if your parents, both of you, have an equal say. Now, when I say that, you know, when a man puts his trust in a woman when it comes down to his kid, you know, the reason why I wanted to emphasize that is because the way that American system is set up, well, I mean, the system period, I mean, it's kind of like the same way, around the world. Um, However, at the end of it all, the woman ends up having a kid. And it doesn't matter if the woman is, could be the biggest piece of shit in the world, damn near 40 years old, living off of their mother. You know what I mean? Never really held a fucking job in their life. And if they did hold a job, it was always like part-time at like a fucking Wendy's or some shit like that. You know what I mean? They could be that fucking horrible. And I'm not saying all, mind you, because I know how, some people get. I'm not saying all. But I'm just saying, even in those situations, the judge hands the child over to the mother when the father is working a decent paying job, full time, and busts his ass and even lives better, has his own place, has everything else that you know the child should have with the mother, and the judge would still go in favor of the woman. So I mean that's what I mean by trust. And typically women who live like that, they're not going to sit there and try to be biased when it comes down to the kid. They're not going to sit there and say whatever differences are going on between you know them and the father of the child, to keep it between them and the father of the child. No, 9 times out of 10, they're taking out that frustration, they're taking out however they feel against the father on the child. And it may not even be directed towards the child, it could be simply directed towards just the father of the child, which in return is backlash to the child, if you get where I'm coming from. Because regardless of the popular opinion, well, it's not really a popular opinion. However, regardless to your opinion, should I say, the father is 100% needed in the child's life. I mean, you can't sit here, and this is coming from somebody whose father walked out on him at the age of 3. My life probably would have been totally different if he would have manned the fuck up and stuck around. Which, speaking of that, you know, well, I don't understand what's going on with these women who, you know, have, the actual deadbeat, father who doesn't, want to be around, who doesn't want to see their kid, never cared to see their kid, ducking and dodge child support for fucking, years on end, but then you have the father who wants to see their child, wants to be able to sit there and physically have them there. And when I say see their child, I mean, I don't mean be a telephone dad. You can't be a dad over telephone. I'm sorry. It's an impossibility. It really is. Most of the time these kids are on the phone. There's no real connection over the phone. Just like there's no real connection on social media. There's no real connect. No, you want a real connection, you have to physically be there with the person. So for a woman to deny the child to be able to physically be there with the child, and then you want to sit there and get mad because there's no physical relationship there, I mean, whose fault is that? You know? So, my whole thing is, it's like, women need to quit playing around, with their child's emotional and mental state. you have a lot of these kids growing up thinking that, oh, my father didn't want me, oh, my father never cared, and this, that, and the third. And then they get older, and guess what? They find out it's a totally different story than what you told your kids, and then either one, they become confused, or two, they start to hate the other parent. Then it's a cycle that just continues, because that sort of emotional scarring is not exactly easy to heal. It's not, you know. So, you know, and the sad part is, I haven't done a lot of looking into the statistics of this, which I actually kind of want to now. However, when it comes down to denial of a child from the small amount of information that I know, it seems to be a huge American issue. It's an American thing mainly. Don't get it wrong. It happens elsewhere, but it seems more so, like higher percentage wise in America. You know, and I do feel as if it stems from a lot of the damage that has been, you know, done to society. Because America has a mental health crisis. It really does. You know, it's like we glorify stupidity, and we shun intelligence. You know what I mean? Or should I say we kind of fear it? You know, it's like, for example, this pandemic was a perfect example. You had a bunch of people who couldn't even pass high school fucking science arguing with scientists about science. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? Like, you could barely even grasp basic fucking science in fucking high school, but you want to sit here and act like all of a sudden you're a professional. That is a mental health issue. Obviously, you have some sort of complex, some sort of, something is not fully clicking there for you to truly honestly feel as if you, a person who does not have a degree in molecular biology, or when it comes down to infectious diseases or anything else like that, to truly honestly feel as if you know more than a person who has a PhD in it. That truly honestly, that's a complex. That's a mental health issue. So I feel as if there's mental health issues, you know when it comes down to both men and women, because it's like, you have men, who have a zero care in the world, and I'm not saying all, but once again, there's men out there that have zero care at all when it comes down to their children. It's like they're making these kids and then just moving the fuck on, and that truly honestly is a mental health issue, because something's not right to where they're not having a automatic connection with a child, or a longing, you know, even if something happened to where the woman tried to keep the man away, during the whole process of, birth and everything else, because it happened, and it happened for me with, you know, my my second child, and but I still had a longing for a connection with him, and there's men out there that just truly honestly didn't have that longing. I was fortunate enough to be able to, at the end of it all, be able to have some sort of relationship, with my son, be able to physically see him. You know, it took, going to court and all this other extra stuff for me to be able to do so. But, at the end of it all, it happened. And, I mean, I mainly did this segment to get a few things off my chest, and right now my mind is bouncing around 20 million different subjects and 20 million different, scenarios. And, you know, at this current time, especially with what I'm going through right now, it's really hard for me to be able to focus on just one thing, which I basically tried to, basically was my intention going into this. Um, However, all in all, you know, I'm gonna just go ahead and get my final thoughts when it comes to this. For any women watching, I would definitely say consider your actions. You know, um, I get it. There's a lot of guys out here. Yeah, there's a lot of them out here that are fucking assholes. But don't forget that there's a lot of women out there that are really fucked up. You know, and then throwing yourself in that category, by denying, you know, it's one thing if you have an attitude towards a father who doesn't want to be there, who doesn't want to see his kid. I can understand that attitude. Be honest with you, at that point, I feel as if it basically is justified to have it. But when you have one that is trying to be there for the kid, and you're just giving every lame excuse in the book on why they can't see their child, why you can't be cordial enough to sit there and say, okay, you have the kid during the summer, we can rotate the birthdays, we can rotate the holidays. To be honest with you, I feel as if that is one of the most cordial fucking, ways to handle this shit. No, instead, you want to sit here and fight tooth and nail about the guy having any sort of fucking real right besides maybe possibly every other weekend, maybe possibly, if that, you know? So, please, when it comes down to your children, think about their mental health. If the guy's not really, you may disagree with him in the relationship. You may disagree, the situation that you guys had when you were together. But if you see for a fact that they love their kid and they try to do everything they can for their kid, why deny the kid that? You know what I mean? Even if you don't feel as if, he's at least there, should I say. He's not going to sit there and say, when you say, hey, you know, pick up, this is what we're going to do. Pick up a kid, around during this time frame, let them, spend some time with you, this, that, and the third. If they're saying yeah, and they can take care of the, they're able to sit there and make sure the kid is fed and everything else taken care of, why not? You know what I mean? Of course, people like to, form their own realities in their head and, think one thing when in actuality it's really not, because who wants to be wrong in that, in that situation? Now, for you men out there, if you truly honestly do not see an issue with not having a bond, with your kid, be real with yourself. You're watching a video. You don't have to see me directly. You don't have to. So think to yourself, if you truly honestly see you're not really able to emotionally connect with your child, you should truly honestly do some self-reflection. Seek some help. Try in some way, shape, or form to figure out why that is an issue. And once you figure out why you have that issue, you can start to heal. That's basically it, really. So once again, I'm Stephen Powell, and this is Real Talk with Stephen Powell's Stephen Powell Trouble Souls mini segment. Just a thought.